Welcome to Digging Deep, an Ortiz Squared podcast with former Major League All Star Russ Ortiz and sports columnist Jesus Ortiz. We will take you behind the scenes with athletes and superstars in sports and culture and journalists in Digging Deep, an Ortiz Squared podcast. And today we have special guest Cristo Fernandez. Cristo, how are you?
Well, very
Or shall
good,
we
and
call you
you?
Danny? Or shall we call you Danny Rojas?
Well, I'm Cristo right now, so no, both works. And nice to see you, Jesus, and really, and thank you for the interview. It's good to be here.
Well, I have to tell you, my wife Megan was so excited when we told her that we had secured this interview with you. She's a big fan, and she showed me the Instagram clip where they where you were outside the stadium, and that fan thought you were a, a real football player, and they
A real
started doing
person.
the yeah the how how has that been? How has your life changed since Ted Lasso, since you debuted in that series?
um, there hasn't been like big of a changes. I still it hasn't been like crazy approaches or stuff like that. I've just had like one person just randomly screaming at me, "Football is life." But besides that, I think like three, four times, just really nice meeting people who really are passionate about Ted Lasso and our show, and I'm just very happy and grateful because the people respond to the show, and it's not just that they like it, but they are thankful for it, and that makes it more special. Makes us realize that what we're doing is it's something really special.
So my parents are from El Chante, Jalisco, 3 hours from Guadalajara, near El Grullo in Autlan,
Yeah, near here.
and and there's great pride in having somebody from Guadalajara starring in this very popular show. What does it mean to you to represent Guadalajara, to represent Mexico? We at Our Esquina, we aspire to amplify Latino voices
Mhm.
in sports, art, and culture. And you are in all three: sports, art, culture. What does it mean to you?
Yeah. I mean, it makes it like more special. All of these great things that are happening, and also makes me realize about the responsibility we have in what we're doing and what I'm doing right now. First of all, like just being able to play Mexican and Latino, as you said, in this big platform and in a way that I think properly represents us as someone with good vibes, someone that is happy. And every time we here in Mexico, at least for me, what I see with my friends, my culture is that as soon as someone gets home, we make that person feel part of the family. And I think that's what we all do as Mexican and as Latinos. So that makes it all more special. And I'm just grateful they're letting me give to the character a lot of who I am as someone, as a Tapatio, as someone from Guadalajara, as someone from Mexico, and yeah, and the fact that it's sports, art, and like to me, it's just more special. Like all the things I love in life, I'm able to playing and doing them in this one job, so it's even more special as well.
Uh, Russ Ortiz says to tell you hi. I'm texting with him as we speak.
Great. He's coming. He's coming.
He's gonna try to join us. He's
Right.
actually having dinner. He's on vacation, but he's gonna try to join us. He's a big fan of yours.
Great. I
Um,
look forward to meeting him.
yeah, and when when you hear so many people talk about Ted Lasso,
Hmm.
did when you got the part, did you expect this, and how did you get the part? Take us through that. How does somebody, get this part? How did you get this part?
Well, uh, I it all started because I went to study my master in the UK. I started a BA in communication in Guadalajara, Mexico, here, and then I went to the UK, and I saved money for 3 years before actually going for it. And then once I had all the money, I went to study my master in acting, And then while being there, I finished my master, my studies, moved to London, tried to develop some projects, mostly my indie short films and indie projects that I was doing with friends and according to my capacities. And then I managed to get a bit of work over there and left some contacts. And then the opportunity for Ted Lasso came out. They were looking for a Hispanic Latin American football player. And then, well, we applied for it. And then many auditions later, we were able to be part of this amazing show. But ideally they wanted like a Jamie Tart idea for those who love the show. Like they wanted an a-hole in a Hispanic and Latin ancestry. But then story changed and it had nothing to do with anything else, but just the story changed and they wanted now an English. And they got the amazing Phil Dunster, who is not only a great actor but a great person, and he does it amazingly. And then they wanted a charismatic, positive guy, but they wanted that person from Iceland. But then I guess they didn't find anyone from Iceland, and they just stood up with my audition, with what I gave them, and they literally were like, you know what, let's just make this character exactly like like me. And I'm so grateful that they decided to just let me add a lot of who I am to the character, and that's how we ended up uh, playing Danny Rojas. Danny Rojas is now the charismatic, and they make it Mexican, even though they just wanted me after seeing my auditions to make it Mexican. And yeah, I just did lots of auditions, acting wise and also football wise. And this character needed to be had good football skills, and I used to have a professional football background here in Mexico before deciding to change the football fields for the stages. So I used to play here in Tecos de Guadalajara, and then I had some injuries. But then at the end of the day, it's funny because life. I say that life's a joke. It's funny how life sometimes turns out, because I went to dark moments in my life when you realize that probably football is not going to happen for you the way you want. But then it's good to know that everything I worked for turned out that helped me to get this role. So I prepared for this role my whole life without even knowing. So that's why we ended up being here in playing Danny Rojas in Ted Lasso.
And that to for Latinos, Latinos in the US, Latinos in Mexico, Latinos all over Latin America, being prepared.
Yeah,
You've granted our Esquina, and this is the second interview we've had with you. And in the first one, you talked about playing um, soccer.
yeah,
And a lot of kids, whether it's soccer, baseball, whatever, they don't realize they have to have a second plan.
yeah,
You were a really good soccer player in Mexico, right? Segunda División,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and but then you were also smart enough to have prepared with your education. What advice would you give young people who may be watching you and may be inspired by you further if they really knew just how much work you put in
Yeah.
to be where you're at?
Yeah, well, I was smart enough to listen to my parents because my like high school I did it at nights because I used to train twice per day professionally since I was 15 years old. And then when I finished high school, I didn't study anything, but even though I didn't study university, I went and studied languages on my own. And I properly learned English, I learned German, French. So that was what I was doing on my free time when I was not playing football. And also I was into like music and art. So I think I had like a bit of arts in me, like that artistic aspect. I was starting to feel it. And then yeah, my parents told me, you know what, you never know, just study something, whatever, just study. And I was like, ah, okay. And I just found the career of communication because my team had like a special thing there, and I also that's where I finished my high school. They had a connection, and I really didn't care for the school. I was just playing football, and then injuries happened. And then when that happened, I started to see some film classes, and that was the first time in my life that allowed myself to learn something new. And that was the first time in my life that I learned something that actually I liked. Because without before that, even my mother and my grandma were always like, Cristo breathes, eats, plays, uh, everything is football, everything talks about football, everything. So that was the first time I tried something new, and ever since, like, I just went for it. And there were things, decisions I took or I didn't take when I was playing football. And that's why I always say that no matter what you want to try and do, you really have to go for it, and you really have to have patience and discipline. And like, that's why, as I had opportunities when I was playing football that I didn't take because I was just comfortable back home. But then later on, all those decisions paid off. And that's why when I realized, like, I wanted to be an actor, I want to be a filmmaker, I want to be an actor, I want to study acting, and I just went for it completely, 100%. No maybe or not, like trying or not trying, like really go for it. And I saved money, had all my money, went and studied my master. And yeah, I completely agree with what you said. Like, for me, luck is the result of when preparation meets opportunity, because you never know when the opportunity is gonna happen for you, but you have to be ready. And I am 100% believer that if you work hard and you're disciplined, like, and you do the hard work, things have to pay off, because that's the nature of things. But not without just like, please God help me. Like, you just have to create things, have to do the things, have to work hard for your things, and then, yeah, ask God for your things or whatever you want to ask for. But you have to do the thing. So I think that's something that I think people should grab and consider. And I think that's what has helped me now with my current career that I have and the opportunities I have now.
You're listening to a special episode of Digging Deep, an Ortiz Squared podcast with former Major League All Star Russ Ortiz and sports writer Jesus Ortiz, with our special guest, Cristo Fernandez, otherwise known as Danny Rojas of the hit Ted Lasso. Are you guys surprised at just how many people are following Ted Lasso, and just like the more people see it, the more it spreads that this is a must see TV. We're gonna to watch every episode here at Our Esquina. That's how much we love Ted Lasso here. Are you surprised at just how many people love it?
uh, well, yeah, I mean, it's been really surprising and really exciting. But like, once you actually, like, us being part of it, like, without a doubt, we believe everyone should watch it, not just because we're on it, but it's also about the message, like, it's not just football, it's or a football club. It's just a bunch of humans being kind and nice to each other, and just showing that being nice, it's cool. You don't have to expect anything from anyone. Sometimes you just can be nice with people. And also, it's about overcoming obstacle. It's about learning from others. And Ted Lasso, I think we have created a nice family cast and crew. And I'm just happy that everyone is watching it and enjoying it, and also wants to be part of this Lasso vibe, which I call it the Lasso vibe.
The Lasso vibe is definitely big time, and this leads to the next question that I have. What is it like to be a character that gets to bring so much joy and optimism on Ted Lasso? With the world being so negative, what is it like to be able to play a character that brings so much joy? And is your personality similar to Danny Rojas?
Yeah, I think Danny Rojas is my version, but in a very over the top positive version. Um, but I'm so happy for this second season, because we're gonna see some sides of Danny Rojas that we haven't seen in season one, and I think will allow him to feel more of a human and more of a real person, which of course he is. But it's good to see people having their ups and downs, and just understanding that life cannot just be all positive and all football is life sometimes can be bad things, but it's all about the perspective and how you approach your problems and who you surround yourself in order to overcome these things, like with your family, friends, and for me it's really cool. I think Danny Rojas is represents I think he represents the kid version that we all have, as in like for example, like sometimes in our lives we can be doing the things we love, and but sometimes we will feel stressed and we could feel bad, but it's good to remember why we do the things we do and why we love doing the things we love doing. And I think Daniel Rojas reminds us that, like, he just loves playing football, so it's good to remember why we love doing the things we do.
Okay, before I'm done, before we're done with this podcast, I'm going to ask you to say football is life in all five languages you know. But before we get there, how much can people expect to see Danny Rojas in the second season? That's what, like, my wife is like hitting me up, like, you have to ask him, how much can we expect to see Danny Rojas?
No, there's gonna be much more of Daniel Rojas in this new season, and at least for all of those fans out there, the first episode, that's the one we should be watching. That's the one that makes us go in this new journey of the second season, and Danny Rojas has good moments there, and through all the show, together with all my friends, with all the amazing cast, there's gonna be really new great moments for each one of the characters. And I think I really appreciate and I'm grateful with Jason, Brendan, Joe, Bill, and all the creators and writers of the show, because they have given us really cool moments. And I think yeah, I think this second season is gonna be more special. It's gonna make people understand more the story, make people understand why things happen in first season, and it's gonna be really good. I'm very excited, and I'm grateful for everyone out there that is watching, that is also excited about the new season.
What is your best memory of the first season with the cast? Is there a memory that you have that really sticks out, that puts that smile on your face?
I mean, my favorite, like, I mean, just hanging out with everyone when we could back then was amazing. Cast, crew, and it was just special. My favorite moment is that like, well, of course, my favorite moment was the first day Danny Rojas appears. I was my first day shooting, and like I really gave it all, and so many things happened that day. I even got, during the celebration, I got scratched off my face by as an accident. I don't even know how that happened, but then I was bleeding, and then I had my close up, and then thank God they have really cool VFX and they fix it.
Oh wow.
But I mean, it was just like all the energy of being for the first time on set. I was very cool. And my favorite scene is the one with Nate the Great, when he gives his speech. Nick Mohammed is amazing, and in that locker room we have really cool moments, all of us. And and in this new season, I really enjoy when we shot the SAG Awards scene. I really I think it was really cool, really special, and I remember Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent. He was really fascinated by my line, and the fact that he really loved it. Like, he just came to me, and like I didn't know what he was gonna say. He just was like, "You're just so fucking funny," you know. I was, I was like, "Oh my god, if he says it, I believe it." So I think I'm doing it right.
There
And
you go.
yeah, he's good. So yeah, everyone is amazing. So I'm just grateful to be part of this with all of these amazing people.
Well, we're listening to a special episode of Digging Deep in our D Squared podcast with Russ Ortiz and Jesus Ortiz and special guest Cristo Fernandez, Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. Okay, so you're a great soccer player, and if not for a knee injury, correct? You would have got to Liga Mexico. Who are Danny Rojas, Cristo Fernandez? favorite top 10 soccer players of all time, and then your top 10 El Tri players.
Jesus, okay, that's tough. Top. I don't know if I'm gonna say 10, but like, I mean, of all time, like, of course, like Ronaldinho is like, and even like I like him a lot because I grabbed inspiration for Danny Rojas. He's always happy. So
Okay.
Ronaldinho, and then Ronaldo, the Ronaldo, the Brazilian, Ronaldo, the Portuguese, Messi, of course. Who else I remember right now? From like old time, Pelé. I love Pelé because also he was great on the field and out of the field. And then of course Maradona. You have him. He was great. Hugo Sanchez of all time, Mexican. Um, Zinedine Zidane is amazing. Who else of all time? I mean, I'm sure there are so many.
That's a pretty good. That
Yeah.
you pretty much got all the big times. And how about Mexico? And did you play with any of the guys or play against any of the guys when you were coming up? Um,
I played with. I mean, he played in the national team, and he was in Tecos in Guadalajara. He was in the first team. I was in the second team. I played with Jürgen Damm. He plays, I think,
mhm.
now in the MLS. He played in Tigres. But I mean, like from Mexico, my favorites. I mean, Chicharito. I really admire him, and I get some good vibes and also inspiration for Danny Rojas. He's always out there putting a smile and doing the right things. Um, Raul Jimenez. I saw such a shame what happened to him now with the injury, but he was doing a great thing in the UK in the Premier League. And who else do we have? Like I like Osvaldo Sanchez. He was
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Guadalajara, a goalkeeper, and I think he was a very cool person and well prepared. Who else do we have? Andres Guardado. He came from Atlas
Yeah.
of Guadalajara, and now he's the captain. Um, who else do we have? Defenders. Like when I
Did you
was a
drop a
kid.
Rafa Marquez?
Yeah, of course, Rafa Marquez. We're
Yeah.
forgetting the big guy. Rafa Marquez, yes, of course. And also, when I was a little kid, I think I managed to see a bit of Claudio Suarez, who also was
Oh yeah.
the leader there. And Jared Borghetti, he was a really amazing striker. He made an amazing goal, one of my favorites that I've seen in World Cups against Italy. And of course, Cuauhtémoc Blanco, who was always uh, giving a show on the field. Like I really admire him, and he comes from humble background, and I admire how he has overcome so many things. So I admire him as a football player.
Yeah, and his personality is a little bit different than Danny Rojas's though.
Yeah, 100, a lot, very different.
And the the aspect of what soccer means to Mexico, I remember Chicharito when he signed with Manchester United,
Hmm.
and I remember visiting him here in Houston before his first game with Manchester United. And you were probably in Guadalajara at the time. Do you remember
Yeah,
the billboards? Like all of Mexico is watching,
yeah,
and that pressure on the Mexican soccer player, and not trying to compare, but all of Mexico's watching you now, all of the
that's cool.
US. How cool is that? And what is your next project? What are some of the projects you're working on if you're able to talk about right now?
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, I'm also aside from acting, I'm a filmmaker as well. So I have right now a feature film we shot back home, independent here in Guadalajara. It's called No Translation Required, NTR film. People can find it in social media, and I have my film company, which is Spectro MX Films, and I'm developing right now some projects. Hopefully, they will. I have some things going on there. But that's just one thing I'm doing because I mean, as an actor, I finished as well another project here in Mexico City, a trailer for a video game for Xbox. I think soon we'll know more.
Okay.
But that's but as well, like I hope and I'm sure this opportunity with Ted Lasso is gonna bring me more stuff as an actor as well, and also hopefully as a filmmaker. But like I cannot just rely on things happening for myself, and it's I think one of the reasons why I ended up with the opportunity for Ted Lasso. I've been always, and that's something I encourage to all the people listening there and all the artists are there and everyone in general. Like just try and create your own opportunities. For me, like auditions will be like 100, and then I might get one or maybe none. But the only thing I can control is my own thing. So I've been into writing and to producing indie things, but my own things, and that's what has given me the opportunities. I managed to get some of my short films in film festivals, and I love comedy. So I think some of the people from Ted Lasso in my auditions, before even giving me an audition, they saw some comedic things there, and yeah, that's what I've been doing. And this year, I hope I can get some other independent work there. And yeah, that's one advice I can give to everyone. Like create your own things. If you're a writer, you don't need to get paid to be a writer, because when you start, you are nowhere. You're a nobody. Just like when I was an actor, nobody was paying me for my short films. I was paying to get them done. So, but patience, hard work, uh, like discipline of 5 years making 3, 4 short films every year in Guadalajara, in London, everywhere I went. And if at some point anyone wants to watch them as well, like I'm happy to share them. But yeah, that's one thing I've been doing, and I hope I can keep doing for this for now.
When we get off the air, I'll send you an email so we could get a list of them so we could put them on the site
Yeah,
so
yeah.
people can see them and everything.
Some of them
You're
are
listening.
in my IMDb as well, and if people
Okay,
want to watch
cool.
them, yeah.
For people who may not know, what are your social media handles?
On Twitter, and that's for all of the Ted Lasso fans because that's the main where you will find most of the Ted Lasso things. On Twitter, I am like at Cristo Fernandez, literally just like that. On Instagram and Facebook, it's at CristoFernandez.mx. And and my film company at Espectro MX Films is like that in all social media.
You're listening to Digging Deep, an Ortiz Squared podcast with former Major League All Star Russ Ortiz and sports writer Jesus Ortiz and special guest Cristo Fernandez of Guadalajara and Ted Lasso fame. You mentioned comedians. Mexico has a rich history of comedians. Who were your favorite comedians? And did your parents show you, because you're young, but did your parents show you some of the famous Mexican comedians? And what if anything, did you learn from them?
Like my favorite and the one I grew up with, and I hope one day I can work with him is Eugenio Derbez. I remember watching all of his shows, XH Derbez, all of his characters, and yeah, he's amazing, and I hope one day I can work with him. Um, so I admire him a lot, and like from all times, like yeah, as you say, we have lots of history. I remember watching Chespirito, El Chavo del Ocho, um, and I remember, of course, I mean, I saw some of the films of Cantinflas. Um, so yeah, I think, and also like my sense of humor comes from my mother. We like to joke all the time, and my mates. I hang out with my mates, and that's where I get some of my funny vibes as well. We like to joke around all the time, and I think that's part of our culture too. Like in Latin America, we're constantly smiling and laughing, and now that I'm back in Mexico, I am cherishing all
Yes,
of
yeah,
these.
Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm cherishing all of these folklore that we have here in Mexico, like yeah, we just laugh about everything. Yeah. So that's cool.
When we think of Guadalajara, I took my family at the end of Christmas 2019.
Hmm.
It's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I've lived in Mexico City. I interned there, um, and then and I've never lived in Guadalajara. But as a kid, we would drive there because my parents. I'm from LA. We'd go to El Chante and we'd pass by Guadalajara.
Mm.
What would you tell people who've never been to Guadalajara? Where should we go next time? I want to know, like, where does Cristo Fernandez tell me to go? Where are 5 places that we must absolutely visit if we go to Guadalajara?
Well, there are lots of things to see here in the city, and you have the beautiful monuments, Minerva, and we have our very cultural street called Chapultepec, near to Glorieta Niños Héroes. Um, but I think like Guadalajara is the second most important city in Mexico, so you will find all the things you have in the busy cities. But I think for people that are traveling, just traveling around Guadalajara, you have the Lake of Chapala, which is the biggest lake in Mexico. You have and also beautiful little towns around the lake. You have tequila, which is not the best drink ever. It's also the name of the little town in Mexico. It's tequila, and that's why the name comes from. And yeah, people will go there and then have a good time, and that's where the tequila gets made. And yeah, like near around my city, there are so many beautiful spots that people can discover.
We Russ and I, when we formulated this, and by the way, he text messaged me again and to tell me to make sure to remind you that he's a big fan of yours, and hopefully
Mhm.
maybe in the middle of the season we could have you back on here. But he said to tell you he's a big fan. When we think of your career and every person that we have on Digging Deep, we ask them to give some advice. And I know you've already given some advice. What's the best advice your parents or anybody has given you? And also, what's the best advice that you give people?
Yeah, like it's something that yeah, we've discussed. I think don't wait for opportunities happen to you. Just make those opportunities happen for yourself, and don't wait for anyone to give you stuff. You just have to go and get them for yourself. And yeah, like for me, that's the key. Like um and yeah, that like just try to create your own opportunities with the things you have around yourself, and don't. Right now there's so much pressure around us all the time with so many aspects of society and so many in the social media and all of these things. And I think we're all doing great, and we all have our own pace to do things. And I think as long as there's discipline, patience, and perseverance, and hard work, like there's opportunity for great things to happen. And that's why we said like luck, it's the result of preparation, when preparation meets opportunity. So always be prepared, and you never know what's going to happen. And always, I think for me, like acting has been my biggest passion in life. But I before like Ted Lasso, I work in independent films and other kind of productions where I was not an actor. I was a runner serving coffees for everyone. I was working in the art department assisting. I did one time continuity, a production assistant, assisting in direction. And that's why I'm also very passionate about films. I just love the whole process. But again, if you want to be somewhere, you just have to be there. Like for me, being on set is the best place. It's my favorite place in the world. So if I had the opportunity to be in any other aspect, not just acting, I was very happy. And I knew that by being there, that will give me the opportunities for later on, and meet the people I needed to meet and make the contacts, because contacts are important. But you just have to create the contacts. If you don't have anyone if you don't come from a family where people have done stuff or you're new, you just have to work for it and do those things. So I think that's my biggest advice. Like, don't close yourself to one thing. Just be open and willing to learn from many different things. So for me, it's not just being an actor. For me, it's being different things and trying different things. And yeah, without even knowing before, like everything I was doing, like learning languages and also learning a bit of music and playing football my whole life, it all helped for me to be now where I am today. So even though because for example, I meet people, young people, and like me that are studying something, and they are like, I don't like this, but everything helps. Everything works. Like, it all helps for you to find. If you hadn't been studying that you hate, you wouldn't know that you hate that. So it's better to try and fail, which I think is the biggest message from Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is a guy who has no clue about what football is, but he comes from amateur and American football. But he's willing to learn from the people who actually know. He was willing to ask, to be curious, to fail and get up and try again. And for me, that's what life has been for me. Like, you just have to try and learn from the people that actually know in order to one day be good at that you want and that you are passionate about, even though you don't have the experience. Because I didn't have the experience for acting or filmmaking, but I was just willing to prepare myself and to try and learn from the people that actually know what they're doing. So I think
Well,
that's for me my biggest advice.
we're so grateful. And two more questions, and we're done. I know your time is so valuable, and you're so busy creating art. And one thing that I've always liked to ask people, I've covered Major League Baseball for 25 years. All the great ones tell a story. And one thing that really stood out to me from this interview is how for 3 years you worked to save money to study in London.
Yeah.
What did you do to work to make that money? Because it's not cheap to
No.
move to Europe and study. What kind of jobs did you do to support yourself and to save that money?
Well, I had some savings for, of course, but my last team was in Puerto Rico. I played there a bit. I saved that a little bit of money there, and then when I returned, I started to save. Finished my last year of uni, and while I was doing that, I worked in publicity agencies and like sports marketing. I was putting like the sports events so that they happen. Like, I was putting all the branding in the marathons or the football events or the basketball events. Um, I was also a photographer. I work in weddings, just recording the video and the photography. And what else? I worked as a waiter too, and but I also work as a life insurance. I used to be in sales, and I learned so much. I think those were my first acting lessons because I had to be, and that's when I realized I could never be in an office. I didn't like being in an office closed. I just like to be outside meeting people, and that was actually the job that pretty much helped me save my money. And then when I had my money, I even had my doubts because I was like, I'm doing good money. Like, probably I should just stay here. But then I was like, you know what? No, Cristo, focus. You don't like. I mean, I like it, but it's not my passion. My passion is my little films and my acting. And so those were, I think, the jobs that helped me save my money. And then when I was in the UK, I worked as a life insurance as a lifeguard. Sorry, I was lifeguard there, not
Mhm.
life insurance in Mexico. Lifeguard in the UK. I worked as a dishwasher, as a waiter. I was a bartender, and in the pub where I was a bartender was a Mexican restaurant bar. And yeah, I actually asked them permission to shoot my short film there, which is that short film that I did there was the one that I based myself to shoot my feature film now in Mexico. So I think everything keeps helping. But those were the, I mean, and I work in who knows many more things. Like, I've been working in so many things, but those are the ones that I think help me save most of my money. And always, like,
What
I'm grateful because my parents have always been there for me, as in, like, letting me stay with them because they know like I'm working hard and I'm pushing my things. And I remember when I told them like as a kid I want to be a football player, and then they're like, oh my goodness, okay. And then I was doing well, and then you know what? I don't want to be a football player now. I want to be an actor. Oh my God, this guy just wants the hardest things, but they've always been like, I mean, supporting me, like just saying yes you can, which for me is more than what I need, and everything else. We've been working together, and yeah.
Wow, we're my soon to be 15-year-old wanted didn't want a quinceañera. She wanted to go to London for her 15th birthday party, and because of the pandemic, we won't be able to do it this year. We'll do it next summer. Is that pub still around? And I'm cheating
Yeah.
because this isn't one of the questions I was going to ask. Is the pub still around? And what
Yeah.
is it? And can we go next year?
No, well, the one where I work was called Tacos and Tequila, Mexican restaurant bar. But the one you should go is the one of Ted Lasso. You know, you should go to the Princess Head. It's in
Okay.
Richmond. I remember I went there for the first time this year, and I felt like a big fan because my
Okay.
character has never been there, so I was very excited to be there. And so yeah, that's the one. That's in Richmond. It exists.
This has been an amazing 45 minutes with Cristo Fernandez, Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. July 23, everybody's ready. Football is life. Okay, Cristo, here's the challenge. You have me beat by three languages. Yo hablo español y en inglés, pero es todo.
Todo.
How do you say
No hablas
football is
otro
life?
idioma. You don't speak another language.
No, no más dos.
Okay.
How do you say football in life? Because you know five languages, right?
Yes.
And all the different languages you know. And tell me which one it is. You don't have to tell me English. You don't have to tell me in Spanish. Well, you have to tell me in Spanish, pero you don't have to explain like, okay, Jesús, ese era español. But how do you say football is life in the other four languages you know besides English?
So in Spanish, of course, fútbol es vida. In German, I speak German, and the Fußball is Leben. And then you have in French, you said football, c'est la vie. And in Italian, I speak Italian only the basic. I think you say how you say il calcio è la vita. I think
Okay, there
il
you go.
calcio c'è la vita.
Oh, there you go. Italy's my second favorite country besides Mexico and the U.S., which is my native country. Well, not my native, where I was born. Cristo, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so
No,
much. Russ is like he's texting me like, tell him he's so sorry he couldn't be here. We're gonna be there watching July 23rd. We're gonna live tweet Ted Lasso on our Esquina on all our channels because we think it's a great show, and also we love what you bring, your representation of our people, and more importantly, just listening to your story. It's such an inspiring story, and we're all glad that you're out there, and we can't wait to see what's next for you, and obviously see what's going to happen with you in season 2. Muchas gracias, Cristo. Que estés bien y te saludamos ahora pronto, ¿eh? Muchas gracias por tu tiempo.
no, muchas gracias, Jesús. Say thanks as well to Russ and to everyone there in our esquina. Also, thank you for listening and for watching Ted Lasso, and looking forward to hearing everyone's thoughts on our second season. And thanks for all the support. And we keep in touch, amigos.
Thank you for listening to Digging Deep, an Ortiz Squared podcast with Russ Ortiz and Jesus Ortiz. Digging Deep was produced by Our Esquina Communications, executive producer Manuel Gomez, and audio engineer Sydney Irene Ortiz. See you next time, and special thanks to our guests today, Cristo Fernandez, Danny Rojas, and we'll be there watching Ted Lasso on July 23rd. Gracias a todos.